start this event with with the talk by Sumanaspati Reddy garu, who was my friend during his stint at All India Radio. He actually contributed to All India Radio in a very radical way, I should say. And he was at the time of shift of the broadcasting technology and formats into private sector, when private players were entering, and he was able to create FM version of All India Radio from Hyderabad beautifully, and he is one of the rare academician broadcasters. He's a freelance researcher. He is an activist in Documentary Filmmaker Association. He has got a long and deep experience in photography, and he has been an ethnographer, folklore researcher, and towards the end of his career, he was transferred to Adilabad. And beautiful people like him make use of every trouble that they get as an opportunity. Adilabad is considered to be a transfer to Adilabad is usually considered to be a transfer from big city like Hyderabad to a small place like Adilabad. But he made use of that opportunity to work on the forest dweller cultures of that area. He is such a person. And nowadays, whenever there is a forest dweller culture discussions in INDICA, we are inviting Sumanaspati Reddy garu for that. And he has worked on Ganga Jatara of Tirupati also in a beautiful way, in a wonderful way, in a deep way. Today, he is going to present his talk on that topic, Ganga Jatara of Tirupati. Performative symbolism running amok, creation myth, the carnivalesque and contemporaneity in Tirupati Ganga Jatara is the topic of Sri Sumanaspati Reddy garu. Over to you, Sumanaspati garu.
Namaste and thank you, Dr. Nagaraj garu. It's wonderful to see you driving INDICA in this course for the last many years and deepening the understanding of India's traditions, cultures, religions, folk cultures, and so on. Thanks for those nice words for me. Because of shortage of time and the kind of farming work into which I'm involved, staying in Adilabad, I could not marshal the many videos and photos which I have, because I documented Tirupati Ganga Jatara for about 4 or 5 years, from about 2003 to 2008. And all those hard disks are in Hyderabad. I could not get them to Adilabad in such a short time. So I'll have to do this presentation without the support of any photographs or videos. And that's a kind of a travesty, given the fact that Tirupati Ganga Jatara is such a colorful, copiously colorful and wonderfully vibrant and diverse folk festival. Anyways, to begin with, I was working in All India Radio and I was trying to do a PhD in English on Bakhtin's theory of literature. And I was also, naturally, when you're talking about Bakhtin, the thing called carnivales comes into prominence in a very big way. And then I discovered suddenly as a news item, Tirupati Ganga Jatara, where people go around in the streets, people are walking, children are walking and shouting jokes and abuses, and hilariously it's happening in the streets itself, in an open arena. And that there were many other aspects about the festival, but this fact that it was so playful and hilarious somehow attracted me. And then I decided that I should visit Tirupati and see how this Jatara is happening. And that led to me doing extensive documentation for about 3 or 4 years, photographing, interviewing people, recording the 7-day festival, which actually the core festival happens for 7 days, but the actual festival goes on for about 9 or 10 days in old Tirupati town and a couple of villages nearby with which it is associated. Uh, and that proved to be a very transformative experience for me in understanding what the real popular culture, popular religions, the culture of our people has been, and how Tirupati Ganga Jatara brings together numerous aspects of the goddess phenomena, which is a very significant aspect of rural life or any town life, because in South India, certainly, we have a village goddess for every town or village. And the annual festival of that goddess is one in which all the villagers or all the people of the town must participate. But the kind of forms it has taken in Tirupati is an amazing thing to see and experience. Yeah. So how does the Tirupati Jatara, Ganga Jatara happen? Gangamma is the village goddess of Tirupati, and the festival is so special. Tirupati Ganga Jatara is so special, despite the fact that there is Balaji temple on the Tirumala hills, and that is world famous. And when you talk about Tirupati, you only remember Tirupati Balaji. But Tirupati Ganga Jatara is no less important and significant in the folk, cultural, and religious tradition of India, and especially of South India. What happens that in Tirupati, you have a very performative aspect, that people wear many guises. The goddess itself, herself, comes into the town and goes visiting people's homes in different guises. And people also imitate these guises. And after 7 days, the whole festival comes to a grand conclusion when a huge idol, mud idol of the goddess Gangamma, is made in one of the temples associated with this festival. There are actually 3 temples of Gangamma which play a significant part in this Jatara. And there a ritual happens, and with that, instead of a standard kind of immersion that happens in many jataras, the goddess or the god is sent into the waters or immersed in waters into jala. Uh, a substitute of that happens on the last day of this festival, on the 7th day. Now, what is behind this Ganga Jatara are 2 stories. One is a creation myth of Adishakti, which is quite widespread in the Telugu states, in Karnataka, and possibly in Tamil Nadu also. We call this as the story of Adishakti. This story of Adishakti is performed by the Asadi caste or a subcaste, performing caste, and Pambalas. They are also known in some other places with other names. In this story, which also has a parallel in certain agamic and tantric texts of the medieval period, it looks like as if that story of Adishakti from medieval agamic texts, in which you have the mythology of that there was a goddess before anyone else, and when she felt like expanding and getting into creative mode, she created Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who happened to be the 3 sons. And with that, the whole world and its activities came into play. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, 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 the protector, and Shiva, the destroyer. The relationship between the goddess and these sons is different in different versions. And in folk versions, it is especially a bit problematic, uh, being sons of the goddess and also being expressions of her own creative desire. Uh, and aspect of incest comes into the play, and how that incestuous aspect is handled in these stories is a great insightful thing. In Tirupati's Ganga Jatara story, the creation myth, which is performed by Pambala singers who are from the Asadi caste, uh, the goddess Gangamma, who alone exists before creation came into being, when she comes of age, a huge desire arises in her being, and then she creates the three sons, one after the other, the three males, the first males, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And she asks them to satisfy her desire. This is the first male female gendered aspect of desire coming into play in nature. But Brahma, citing the incestuous aspect, excuses himself. Vishnu also excuses himself. But Shiva, being clever, he says that I'll satisfy your desire, but you should give us all your power to us. And Gangamma readily accepts this. But Shiva, instead of satisfying her desire, grabs all her power. Shiva's third eye comes from Gangamma to Shiva, and he abandons her. So the abandoned goddess somehow gathers herself and goes to a seashore, and and she's sitting in her ratha, and she is gathering her energies. And during this time, the three sons, they think that the future religious territory or divine territory is all belongs to us, and Gangamma's is no more important. They start doing a yajna, but all the suddenly the world is full of, in the story, is full of different kinds of beings, rishis, human beings, and other uh, various kinds of beings we find in all our mythologies and Puranas. And they all come to know that Gangamma has been wronged, that she has been treacherously sidelined by her sons, and they go in prayer, in singing, they go in a march to meet her. And when Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma see this, that these people are not coming to them, and but they are going to Gangamma, they also proceed to meet Gangamma. When Gangamma sees that her three sons, who have abandoned her and left her to her own fate, they have come back, she, in a fit of anger, reduces them to ashes. But then she again feels that it is I who have created the male being, and she resurrects them. And then Shiva goes into a huge diatribe against her, and Shiva takes a bit of a sand and divides it into four parts, and then says that in the future yugas, you will have only one fourth part of the sacred territory. The other three parts will come to us. Uh, and together, only if you are in agreement with us, you will have any power. So Gangamma concedes to this, since she has no choice. But from the three parts of the sand, the three other quadrants out of the four quadrants, from three quadrants, she creates the wives for Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwari, Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. And thus she splits herself into four, and gives three-fourths of her energy and power through these goddesses to these male gods. Then Shiva says that in future ages, people will not pray to you, goddess, unless you create a lot of troubles for all the beings. And during summer months, you will send all kinds of diseases and pests onto the human beings. And to get over these difficulties, including lack of rains and other things, and summer, they will come to pray you. In Tirupati, you will establish yourself as Gangamma goddess in Tirupati town, and people will come to pray you in the form of an annual jatara. They'll sing songs for you. They will do all kinds of prayers. They'll offer you aromas. They'll offer you light. They'll offer you food. They'll also thoroughly curse you in the most sexual terms. And in this way alone, your desire will be satisfied, and not through a male contact. So this is a kind of a tragic ending to the story, but then that explains, as if the whole uh, people, the whole world is paying for the wrong that has been done to the goddess by her sons through this annual festival of Jatara. This lies at the back of the festival, but the guises about which we talked about, the performative and theatrical aspect of the festival, comes from another story fairly recently, maybe 200 or 300 years old, in which a young girl called uh, Gangamma, who is the daughter of a farmer, she's very beautiful, and a local chieftain called Palegar, he wants to seduce her. And when Gangamma sees this, she becomes very angry and violent, and she goes out into the streets to kill him. And fearing for his life, the Palagar hides himself in a house. And to bring him out, Gangamma takes many guises, which begin from the lowly social strata of society, and then gradually move on to the condition of a local chieftain. And then when the Palagar, or the local lord who tried to actually seduce her or wrong her sexually, he doesn't come out of fear for his life. She finally takes the guise of a Dora, or a local chieftain. And then the Palagar has to come out because a higher official has come to his place. And then she, in this guise, she kills him. After having killed him, the real big thing happens, that now she becomes a form of Adishakti. She expands, and then not to be problem to the people, that she should not have a devastating and disastrous effect on people, the goddess must cool down and come to her human form. To do this, she takes three more guises and travels in the village of Tirupati, visiting people and who have already become devotees of her, because here comes a bold lady fighting against a very aggressive, violent kind of local chieftain. Um, and then, after taking three guises, in which she travels almost all parts of old Tirupati town, um, what happens is, on the last day, at a temple, there are three temples of Gangamma. One is called China Gangamma temple, that is the lesser Gangamma, or the younger Gangamma. And there another one is a Pedagangamma temple, or the elder sister. So the Gangamma actually becomes two sisters because of these two temples. At the bigger temple of the younger Gangamma, the China Gangamma, a huge idol of mud, a huge head about 6 or 7 feet high, is made by uh, priests of older type, which means the artisan caste, the which by which I mean people who are into woodwork, people who are into making ornaments, people who are making into uh, making stone, metal crafts. All these people who are called, I'm not getting the name, but who are the basic artisans of our society. People from these communities make this huge idol, and then uh, Gangamma, in the guise of Perantalu, walks through the night through the town and reaches this temple very early in the morning, where the whole town has gathered to see the great event of dismembering of the goddess. So Perantalu comes there and plucks a bit of mud from the cheek of this goddess statue made of mud, and then people also fall upon the goddess to pick their bit of mud. Within an hour, the whole mud disappears and the goddess is gone. Earlier, there used to be a temple, and probably there was an immersion festival. But because the the lake which was there along with the temple was grabbed by land grabbers, this substitute ritual has come into play. So, carrying a bit of this mud home and using it against diseases or ill fate by drinking it like a prasadam is a practice which happens. Now, what's happening here is that these guises which the goddess took when she was attempted to be wronged by a local chieftain, all those guises are performed in the same sequence, in the same form, by a family of weavers called Kaikala family. The males take all the different guises which she has taken, and they go out into the village. So it is as if the goddess is coming again back to see how the town exists. She has once saved it from this oppressive chieftain, uh, but then how are the people now? So she takes the same guises and comes visiting. And people know that this goddess will come in this guise to our homes on this day. For all there are 8 or 9 guises which are taken by the male members of this weaver family, and they go visiting. As I told you, that the first 6 or 7 guises are all of lower rungs of society, and then the main critical guise, which is of a local chieftain, comes in the middle. And after that, you have 3 very spiritual guises, in which the goddess actually, having done her big work and having become Adishakti, she cools herself. She comes back to the human level, and then finally she ends up as a goddess in the temple. So, along with the this pattern, a fixed pattern of guises of goddess, which are taken by male members of a particular family, people also imitate these guises in their own manner. Apart from people imitating these guises, in which children participate and male members participate, not females certainly, people also take many other guises. One of the most striking aspect is that a lot of males take a female guise. They dress up as a very beautiful woman and they walk in the street and visit goddess. Many people take this Adavesham, or the female guise, as a payment of vows to the goddess for any misfortune they might have faced. So, finding the streets on during the course of this festival, people taking these different guises on different days, walking through the streets with drums, songs, etc., and visiting the 3 temples of Gangamma, which I told you. There is an elder Gangamma, there is a younger Gangamma, and there is one very unique temple in Tirupati, which is called as the Veshalamma. Veshalamma is meaning a goddess of the guises, Vesham. So it is as if the theatricality of it has been totally formalized and externalized. So every guise which is taken by of the goddess, which is taken by the male members of that family, must visit all these 3 temples of the younger Gangamma, the elder Gangamma, and also Veshalamma. People also visit these 3 temples. So the performative aspect is very consciously understood. And Gangamma, in her guise, that is a male member of this weaver family taking one of the guises of Gangamma, assume that it is a guise of a cow herdsman. And he is going visiting these 3 temples of the goddess. So what's happening here? A great anthropologist, Don Handelman, who also studied from Israel, who studied this, uh, gave a very interesting interpretation for this. It is as if the goddess is coming around to understand herself. The goddess is looking at herself as if it in a mirror image. She's trying to find out what it is to be at the human level, taking these guises. And she is visiting her own temples, so she is face to face with herself also. So the goddess herself is going through an experience of very complex uh, realization, in which a lot of social aspects, the power structure of society, all come into play. And the last three guises, in which she visits herself and also various households in the village, are very spiritual, meaningful guises. And because of this, the graph of the Jatara becomes more and more serious and devout as it reaches the seventh day. The first 3 days are particularly playful. People, including children, go around in the streets imitating the guises worn by the weaver caste people of the goddess. But they also sing lewd songs, abusive songs. But when they once they enter the goddess temple, any of these three goddess temples, they suddenly become very devout. So it's as if a tantric kind of aspect, a carnivalesque aspect, is understood by every person, including children of this of Tirupati town. It's as if the agamic and tantric aspect has come entered into the consciousness of the common people in a very playful and celebratory manner. Um, Apart from these different guises, the guises of the goddess proper, guises which are worn by, which are taken by people imitating the goddess' own guises, the female guises which are taken by many male members as if paying a vow to the goddess. People can take any other guise which they wish. So you will find the town filled with various kinds of theatrical expressions, people taking various mythological guises, people taking very crazy guises, extremely contemporary guises can also be found there. Um, um, a couple of years ago, there was a film called Pushpa 2, in which the hero also takes a guise. There's a song shot with this Gangamma Jatara as the background. Uh, Although it doesn't show anything of significance of the goddess, the guise play taken by the hero in that film, Pushpa, is also now taken by many male younger members of society. Uh, Along with this, but we have been talking about the males. What do the women do? The women, as Professor Joyce Flukiger, who has done exhaustive study on this and has also published a fantastic book on this, the women do not have anything to pay or show or express themselves because they are in balance. It is the male who has to tame himself. It is the male who can be an aggressor or who can be a cheater, who can play with sexuality, who can play havoc with the gender relationships, not the women so much. So the women have no guys. They don't have to take any guys, but they encourage, they support the males, their own boy, their own children, their own son, their husbands, or anyone else in their family to take these different guises and participate in the festival. But they themselves go to Gangamma directly. Uh, One of the significant forms of female expression of devotion at Gangamma is that they have a small pots in which has lots of holes, which is symbolic of chicken pox or smallpox, which used to visit people, and they put a lamp inside it, a deepam inside this small pot having holes, and they carry this on the head and visit the three temples of Gangamma, but especially at the younger Gangamma's temple, they also carry uh, the whole material that is required to cook ambali or broth of rice, and this offering is made to the goddess. So the devoutness with which women participate and the theatricality expression, open theatric expression through which males participate, is a very interesting contrast which one can observe with this festival. Apart from these two stories, the creation myth and the medieval story of a young girl who was attempted to be wronged by a local chieftain and she rising in rebellion, there are many other stories, smaller and bigger, which are associated with this festival. Some of them can be traced back to a standard trope in many Buddhist stories, that a Buddhist monk is visiting a village and there is a goddess who is playing havoc with the villagers' lives, and the Buddhist monk sits there in austere mode, and he tames this wild goddess and converts her into a child. A similar story of a Vaishnav priest or scholar coming there, a Vaishnav saint, and taming Gangamma and reducing the violent aspects of this Gangamma festival is also told during this festival. Now, every one of these guises has its own dress code, its own shout, a kind of a shout or a small song which goes with it, and the kind of offerings which are given to this guise when it visits various households also differs, and the devoutness towards these visiting guises goes up as the jatara progresses forward. So what's happening in this jatara is that the goddess is continuously walking every day. She is walking through the town. Now, it can be this festival can be seen as a to completely original folk formation, but when you watch it closely, you will see that it filters into itself many aspects of the greater philosophic traditions, greater philosophic religious traditions of this country, especially the tantric tradition. Now, in the tantric tradition, what happens is that the tantric can play with all the sensuous aspects, indulge in them much more than a common being. But this also, this excessive indulgence in sensuous pleasures and sensuous expressions will also lead to a realization of the soul. So, what you find in Tirupati, as Professor Joyce Flukiger says, is an excess of expression, excess of expression of every kind, of playful kind, of a dramatic kind, of theatrical kind, of mad kind, and people from every caste, irrespective of whatever their religious affiliation could be during normal life, must participate in this Gangamma Jatara. So in Tirupati, you will find even Muslims participating in this festival. Muslim males also taking female guises and going around to visit Gangamma in her three temples and paying their vows. So the tumultuous aspect, the colorful aspect, there are any number of other performative aspects which one can talk about. One is a thing called a chapparam, that is a pyramid-like structure is made, which is carried on the body. So this open theatrical aspect connected with the religious expression of various kinds. Different castes have different kinds of relationships with the mother Gangamma, the goddess. So you go and talk to people from the farming community, they have one kind of relationship. You go and talk to people from the lower castes, the so-called lower castes, they have another kind of relationship. So there is a personal community kind of variegated kind of relationships with the goddess, and they all find expressions in this jatara. um, so, what is happening? What happens to a person who participates in Jatara? If he's already from Tirupati, they know what happens. And uh, going through this whole train of guises and the walking of the goddess coming visiting, goddess as a protector, goddess as a suffering person, um, and the at the back is the creation myth, which very few people today are aware of. But the drummers who accompany these guises, which are following the second story of a wronged woman, they keep singing that creation myth. So it's as if two stories are working in parallel, and anyone who is careful enough will know that The song which the drummers and singers accompanying these guises are singing is not of these guises, not of the second story, but the first story, which is the creation myth. So if people are aware of the stories behind this festival, as they used to be till a few years ago, everyone knew these stories. But today, the awareness of these stories is not that much. Very few people can recount these stories in full, although the second story is much more well known. Um, you know the story, you know how it is theatrically being expressed, and you are face to face with the goddess in her different forms, uh, in different modes every day. Let me just send these photographs to the Indica person. Just a moment, please. So, participating in this festival, whether you know the stories or not, and if you are a local, it is fine. But even if you are, when you are an outsider and you go through uh, Tirupati town, watching all these different events and different things happening at the three festivals and other many other places, things happening at people's homes, things happening in the streets. Uh, uh, and the intensity of the festival, which gathers great momentum, great variety, great colorfulness, and the amount of offerings that are offered to the goddess at these three temples, especially of the younger Gangamma, and the number of sacrifices. Blood is almost flowing on the street because of the number of goats, sheep, and hen which are offered as sacrificial offerings to the goddess. Uh, it is there's a kind of blood contact you feel that this is uh, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of wrong which has been done to the goddess. Yeah, this is the form of Gangamma generally on most of the days, especially on festive days in the temple. The priests, you have Brahmin priests also now because of the endowment department, but otherwise the priests are from the washer, the dhobi caste, and the Pambalas or the Asadis who sing her songs, and from one or two other castes also. Yeah, yes, please. Can you show the next photograph, sir? Hello? Yeah. So, in one sense,
శ్రీనివాస్ గారు ఇంకోటి షేర్ చేయగలరా?
so if you look at carefully at this festival, you will find a very deep Freudian and Jungian kind of understanding lying at the core of this festival. Although our people did not know it, but the Tantric tradition brings that kind of an understanding of sexuality, of gender relationships. Uh, Even though the woman is wronged, and it's a great tragedy that has happened to the woman, the wrong that has been done is remembered constantly down the ages by the whole society, and that is observed. But in the observation, it also becomes very playful. The tragic aspect is there, but it is also a festival of great performance, hilarious activities, processions, making of offerings of various kinds. This is one of the, any kind of free guises which people can wear. So people take many mythological roles also. The earlier photo that you saw was of, yeah, this is one of the guises. In the first 3 days, children participate in this festival. So these are imitating one of the guises of which are taken by that male family of the goddess. Yeah. Yes, please. This is the idol about which I told you. On the last day of the festival, from midnight onwards, this is this huge idol about 7 or 8 feet is made by people from the Vishwakarma communities. Um, it's beautifully done. It has any number of ornaments specially made for this temple, and the most important aspect, the secret aspect, is positioning of these eyes. Uh, Now we are able to see this, but when the goddess idol is being made, it is a screen actually prevents it from being seen by the crowd which has assembled. It's a huge crowd, as if the whole town is there. So the gaze of the goddess should not be seen by the people before she's unveiled, right at the time when a person, a male person from that weaver family takes the guise, or which is called as a parentalu guise. Parentalu guise. Parentalu is a is a holy woman, and she walks through the dead of the night, reaching this festival right at the time when sunrise is happening. And then the screen which is obstructing this view of the goddess from people is pulled off, and she climbs, the parent elevation climbs onto this podium and pulls a bit of mud from her cheek. And then the whole crowd also falls onto the goddess to pick up a bit of that mud. And within a few minutes, the whole statue is gone. There's nothing. It looks like a violent thing, but it is, as I told you, is a substitute for an immersion into water. Uh, it is not happening. This Vinayaka Jala Vimochanam, or the goddess being immersed in the water, which happens in many goddess festivals, is not happening here. It's an adjustment to the stark reality that some land sharks have grabbed a lake or pond that used to exist along with the village. This is one of those tumultuous scenes in which the last photograph, people are going in procession to the temple carrying, as the women are carrying the stuff in these huge tubs, the stuff with which they have to cook a pongali, rice and dal mixed together, and offer it to the goddess. Uh, so this is a huge activity, and you can find thousands of people cooking all around the street, in the background of the, in the vicinity of the temple. Yeah, the next photograph which we see is this guy is taken by Allu Arjun in Pushpa 2, probably imitating Gangamma. People now take these guys also and participate in the festival. Yeah, this is another children taking the guise of a mendicant. Yeah, Bairagi. This is also one form of the Bairagi Visham. So children also participate in this festival in a big way, and for children, it's a kind of a complex social education which is happening there when they're participating in this festival. Yeah, this is another shot of the last event of the Ganga Jatara. Yeah, this is one photograph of a male taking a female guise. Uh, these are proper males, not not any LGBT types, but proper males taking a female guise. People, their own daughters or their own wives help them in taking these guys. They come up with all the material to a photo studio and get dressed up there if they're coming from the villages, or if they're from the town itself, they take the guys from their home and start off walking in the town, visiting the three temples. And there is no oddity about them. Nobody feels awkward about it, not even the crowd. Nobody stares at them and passes ugly stares at them. This is one of the things which is now almost gone. This is the pyramid made of bamboo and other material. It's called chaparam, uh, and this is done on the penultimate day of the jatara. Yeah, so this is a kind of a austere woe payment, because carrying this with such huge weight and balancing it calls for a lot of stamina and toughness in the person. uh, yeah, chaparam, this is also called a guise, chaparam guise.
So, this much only, sir, I have listened.
Yeah, these many photographs only I could gather at this short notice. I have a lot of beautiful videos. I hope I'll be able to present it. So yes,
Uh,
the last thing which I have to say is that we have talked about these two stories which underlie this festival. The second one is obviously a later development. Maybe 200 or 300 years ago, somebody devised this thing for this festival. But the first story, which is the uh, about the mother goddess, the Adi Shakti, and her conflict with her three sons, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, has it's very it is can be found in many forms with different kinds of variations in South India, but there are also many agamic or tantric texts in which this kind of relationship between the mother goddess and she expressing herself, her desire or her desire for having a world full of different kinds of beings, nature, and all other things. That is that is handled by her creation of three males, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I'm not sure if there is an exact parallel to the kind of version that we find which the Pambala sing here in Tirupati in Sanskrit. Scholars, if they can help us, then we will come to understand that the disjunction or the separation which some people try to make between folk festivals and the great traditions is actually not true. If you just look at carefully, you will find all our great philosophic traditions becoming a part of performative living experience in these festivals. And that's why the jataras are a very, very significant aspect of understanding Indian reality, Indian social reality, Indian cultural reality, Indian religious reality. And many of our expressions, the way we handle our relationships, the way we express our feelings, people get from participating in these jataras and the stories which underlie them. I think here I will stop.
Thank you, Sumanaspati garu. It was a wonderful talk covering the symbolism aspect in the Jatra. I should share with the audience that the profile picture that we shared in our main flyer for publicity comes from Ganga Jatara. It is the image of Gangamma goddess only. So it is such a significant event that our founder, Sri Harikiran Garu, while designing the flyer, actually he is the one who designs all our flyers and all that. He has got a lot of artistic interest. He chose, our founder Harikiran Garu chose Ganga Jatara image for designing our main flyer, publicity flyer for the whole event. Uh, that is the significance it has. And there is a question from one Sweta Satish Lal Andekar. No, Shweta Mohlaji, that she says that she's a Punjabi and she wants to know whether in the movie Pushpa, the allusion is to Ganga Jatra only. Madam, yes, it is to Ganga Jatara only. The story in Pushpa is set in Tirupati environs only. That is why the character is made to participate in Ganga Jatara, the main hero character. So the allusion is to Ganga Jatara only, madam. And there was one question by one person, Narendra Kumar. He wants to go to Tirupati, participate in Ganga Jatara, but he is worried about the anti-Hindi sentiment, whether it is going to affect him violently or not. Narendra Kumarji, let me tell you that this whole anti-Hindu Hindi sentiment is limited to Tamil Nadu. Tirupati is not part of Tamil Nadu. And in Tirupati, there is no such anti-Hindi environment. Tirupati is the place from where people go to Tirumala and it attracts devotees from all over the country. There is no anti-North Indian or anti-Hindi culture. So you are welcome. Please come to Tirupati
In
and
May. In May.
in May, participate in the festival. He is already, Narendra Kumarji is already mentioning May 6th to 13th,
Yes.
2025 as he noted the dates already. So
Yes.
please come and participate in Ganga Jatara. It's a wonderful opportunity. And there is a question from Pavan Kumar, whether it is related to Kundalini, Mooladhara Chakra, and all the Tantra related questions he is raising. And there are actually mentions of congratulations to you for a very good talk. Any formal organization or entity coordinating this Jatra who are involved in its organization is a question from Kanagaraj Ishwaran. Uh, Kangarajji, actually, all these years till now, the festival has been organized by people all by themselves. That is the beauty of Jatras. There are no formal organizations, there are no formal bodies. But nowadays, endowments department is also participating in Ganga Jatara, and the local municipal authorities and the police are also taking control of the organization of the festival, unlike in pre-police times and pre-municipality times, when all this was all completely self-organized by people. We should say pre-endowment days also.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
yeah,
please.
yeah,
I have,
please go
I have
ahead.
just one small things to tell here, that there are actually many aspects connected with gender, human relationships, and other things, hundreds of things which one should be talking when we are talking about Ganga Jatara, and obviously we don't have the time for that. But the festival is so popular in the Tirupati, Chittoor area that imitating this Gangamma, the same kind of festival with the variations keep on happening. Ganga Jataras keep happening in many other towns and villages, and some are in their scale and operation or as big as the festival that is happening in Tirupati. So it's as if it is not limited to just Tirupati. As a pattern, it covers the whole region, and the festival is replicated for nearly 2 months after it begins in Tirupati and concludes in Tirupati. Yeah.
Can you check other questions, Sumanaspati Garu, in the question and answer box?
Question and answer box. Yes.
One of the questions is
yes, sir. Yes, please.
By Dr. Geeta Badkilaya. Why all these jatras take place in peak summer? No, ma'am. Actually, the village goddess festivals are mostly in the Ashadha month, which is post-rainy season. But these are some exceptional festivals which take place in summer. So there are jatras of all seasons, actually. We should say jatras that take place in different months all through the year. And there is a question to provide the Facebook link I'm providing. I added the Facebook live stream link now. Please check it. And what are the other questions? Does it have any link with
Could
Baddi
this be
Pochamma temple?
could this be a Buddhist tradition that was introduced during the skirmishes between Buddhism and Vaishnavism?
Yeah.
Yes, but Buddhism also has a lot of tantric, streams in it, and that those tantric streams have influenced later formations, certainly.
Sumanaspati Garu and the audience, there is one book by one Mohan Garu from Canada. He published a book called Shivasya Kulam, in which he deals with all the Vanavasi and the folk cultures as tantric forms only. And there are some Bengali tantric books in which a very similar story of the Shakti, Parashakti creating Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and then seeking connection with them. All this exists in some Bengali tantric texts.
Yes.
So
Yes.
maybe I have left out some questions, but because of paucity of time, we can postpone these questions and take them up at the later part of the day, because we have to move to the other speakers also. Now,
Can I offer
because
a few lines of thanks?
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
lot of scholars have, including Mr. Nagaraju, have worked on this. And when I entered, I was not aware of any of these things. But then, trying to understand this festival and the various things and their underlying meanings and the associations, new, ancient, modern, and all that, is like a total education, fairly comprehensive education into Indian tradition. And the kind of work which has been done by earlier scholars, many people who have studied this, has helped me a lot if I could present any sensible kind of talk today. Mr. Peta Srinivasul Reddy wrote a book in Telugu which details the various things which are happening in great detail. Professor Dawn Handelman's fantastic essay that the goddess is trying to understand herself through this festival. The work done by Joyce Flukiger. And I think many of the essays by Dr. Nagaraju and Dr. Anand, who had worked on this festival, also need to come out in a book form and become available to all of us. The information and the beauty of this festival needs to be spread in various languages, because understanding this one festival will enable you to understand many so-called folk or native religious performative expressions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumanaspati garu.